and that forces him wide, is going to bunch up behind him.
Well, take that, face full of gravel for anyone in behind Maro Engel. But in terms of the championship battle, the one that gained the most is Charles Weerts. He's gained a position or two, and he's got a buffer back to his rivals. The two yellow cars, the yellow and blue Porsche, and Maro Engel in that bright yellow car with the amazing green snake-like livery, car number 48, but it's the Lamborghini that made progress.
Gilles Magnus-driven Audi that leads in gold. 6th is Vincent Abril. Then you've got Stoltz. Then going through, looking rapid, is Alex Arca heading silver. Kelvin van der Linde is up into 9th place, and 10th is Gachet with Vermeulen down to 11th. Marciello you're riding with, and he did the fastest lap last time through, quicker than the Kirchhoff from the previous lap as the tyres get warmer and the fuel load starts to come down, making the cars that little bit quicker.
They have that relationship there, and when this program came together to run this long-distance race, Thomas, who is an absolute master when it comes to tactics, was an easy call, and I saw him earlier today. He was excited to see if he could help strategize this car to the front.
You need a Venn diagram of all this, don't you, to see how it all fits. Now, look at this battle. Matt Campbell
Made a mistake. Here's the mistake. Or was it? Pittard is in the door of him, forcing him out wide on the exit of 12. How does Pittard not get this move done? Vermeulen chops across the front. They're still hitting each other side to side into turn 13, 140, 150 kilometers an hour at this point. And Vermeulen just sends it across the front of Pittard and just to look at it, but we just made it too late of a lunge and contact.
Progress from Maxime Martin right on the tail of Vincent Abril. And that is looking as though Martin wants a bit of a move on. He's in the silver, dark red and yellow boots and VDS Mercedes, and taking a totally different line as they try to battle for position down the start finish straight. A pair of Audis. On the outside, it's 9. The warnings come in largely at turn 11. In fact, that's the uphill chicane. Looks like a bit of a place change down there. There's certainly a bit of rubbing. They say rubbing is racing, but the Ferraris will be on the wrong side of the track. McLaren behind says, thank you very much. You know what? I might take both of you. Up the hill, 3 into a chicane. It's not a formula that normally works, and the McLaren certainly eventually getting back to the circuit, but it's not yet open. It'll be open in just about a dozen seconds, and side by side he goes. Here's the straight line speed. Did he need the toe? Are they going to have 2 door mirrors when they get down to the first corner? On the outside, not their place to be. The move is started. Is it going to be completed? Will we have the change around at the next corner? They're looking for position. I think that's done by, that is a, well, phenomenal job there, but it took 2 to tango, and Jordan Pepper did his utmost, but the straight line speed, he had no.
Teams reporting that, so they'll be happy that these stints are going to turn into relatively long ones now. And yeah, let's see what Maro Engel can do. We saw at Paul Ricard early in the year, that car struggled with pace towards the end of the season. Very different conditions, very different circuit, but at the moment it does look like he's unable to stay with that silver Mercedes of Gunon.
Some playing the long game, of course. Top speed through the parabolica is topped by.
So if he did get caught napping, he was already defending, and that's just the difference in the engineers calling it. It's over the race control radio too. How brave are you taking the limiter off from the 80k? Ben Green has definitely dropped back off the back of Rossi. Rossi in his own space needs to be careful. Can he stop it on the apex? It is a no, and it's going to be an undercut for Gachet. This is letting Auer get involved, but he's in an awkward place where he's going to trip over. Expect the McLaren to reclaim this position into turn 1.
Hublinks first down. It is down the start finish straight to the first corner, but it's the McLaren on the inside, and Luca Engstler, don't forget, already a race winner, and he pulls in front. I think that was actually quite sensitive in GT3 racing. Everyone is developing at a different cycle time, and certainly been exciting days. I came across on a plane with a certain Kazuki Nakajima. Of course, he's looking after all of Toyota's action, and at Goodwood early this year we saw the GT3 concept car. Will it race, will it not? I tell you what, it looks absolutely magnificent. But again, they might come in, it might take a year, might take 2 years, might even take 3 years to find a car that can challenge at the front of the...
In early and put the next driver in for the majority of the race. We'll find out what the teams do. As a big dive there to the inside puts Enrique Chavez through as well. He gets himself up past Simon Gachet. So 2 places lost by the French driver in the McLaren on this lap. Gachet moving from Santaloc Audis to CSA McLarens for this year. That is 32 BMW, the champ.
That must be one of the Audis that boxed out of position,
yeah.
And that's Kazaniga, isn't it? He's real, put a grenade in the mix here. He should be getting out of the way. He does finally now, but that really split them. Also, one of the Aston Martins from ComTU in the way.
Yeah, let's have a look, because Engel just
got to work out the differences of BOP, and he'll now see the BMW start to go, and he needs to be careful he doesn't wear out the headlight flash button, and he's loving that, isn't he? That's for sure. And the more you get flashed to the driver, the more you look in, less you look in the mirror, sorry, so potentially he's actually the undoing, but he'll be getting the hurry up, because if Faroko...
Looking for gold points, he doesn't want to be shoveled out the way on the opening lap, but hasn't resisted yet. Vermeulen still hanging on, and I think that was pretty much off the track through turns 6 and 7. Down to 180 we go. Still the panels almost bouncing over the curbs, just trying to get clear of Patrick Niederhauser. Luca Engster powering on to the Garage 59 McLarens, very close to each other, and in fact very close to disaster as they go through the final corner.
Yeah, Chiva, the meat of the Garage 59 sandwich, got past Goethe, saw some more bodywork flying off. Could have been the front of that 93 Sky Tempesta car, but good move from Chiva, aggressive on the first lap.
Like the start, he's nailed it. Aurelian Panis is having nothing of Kelvin van der Linde. He's dived up the inside, forced the BMW wide, but van der Linde's not the sort who's going to back out. So he challenges him up to 2, can't do it. So fighting language there. And the route
down to Parabolica. Nicky Team looking to the outside now of Frank Pereira.
And he's going to have the inside for the second part of the chicane, but Nicky Tim gets up the curb from Pereira in the white. Lamborghini gets run out wide. The next one in the queue is Alessio Rivera's Ferrari, but he can't quite level. The Aston Martin stays ahead.
Only innocent party out the 3.
Here we go. Green flag, green lights, racing again. Way wide goes Valentino Rossi, almost joining his fans in the stands. Over the line, Rovera leads the way then. Marshall is second, third is Rossi, fourth is Green, fifth is Niederhauser in Porsche, and sixth is Charles Wirtz as the driver.
Over the bronze driver, of course, as this gold battle rages on.
Bump over the curbs wide, just about hauls it back in. In second place, in behind him is Louis Pret in the McLaren, looking for the next in the line. Yep, it's the blue and white Lamborghini, full course yellow. I thought the pace was suddenly dropped. He's in third overall in his Grasso Lamborghini, then a bit, and fourth place overall there is the...
in a modern GT3 car.
I remember in the very start of turbos coming onto road cars, sometimes you had to check the badge on the boot to see if it had a turbo or not. You sort of thought you'd press the pedal, nothing happened, and eventually you got something, and then gradually the power just became quite absolutely crazy and immense fun. But in racing terminology, people used to talk about it being like a light switch.
Singed, I think, the overalls there, but that was a very lucky escape. That's a huge accident. And Georgi Donchev, lucky to get out of that. As I say, it shows the strength of the car and it shows modern safety measures. There is the Porsche that clips it. That was the secondary impact. We'd seen that car.
So I spoke about the traffic. That's the 4 car. That's really held him up, giving Gounon a chance to get the run down the hill into Brussels.
Tries to find a way through the traffic. There you've got number 4, Ian James, at the wheel of the CrowdStrike Mercedes, a pit lane starter. And Gounon gets ahead of Al-Faisal Al-Zubar in the BMW. The Lamborghini 163 around the outside of all of them. That's trying to hang on to the position. He's not quite going to work for Frank Pereira. He's on the outside line. And Al-Faisal Al-Zubar hangs on.
Worth it? It's not, because van der Linde's only 1.7 seconds behind, but Vermeulen there to adjudge to cut the corner, and I think correctly given a penalty.
Yeah, and again, once you've got these fantastic drone shots, it rather removes the excuses you could have had even half a decade ago. But I think with 5 seconds added...
all French lineup at their local race.
Yeah, so the yellow Mercedes and the orangey red BMW, they're the 2 cars at the front of the championship. In the sprint series, it's the BMW from WRT.
Coy's car, now driven by Marvin Dienst. Just as a side note, the sister car to that Mercedes I'm talking about, Dienst, is the Winwood Mercedes, the 48. Not suggesting anything, but just as a side note, there is our gold class leader, Vermeulen, that was held up on pit exit, but now leading class, now leading the championship as it stands.
Lamborghini is the car behind, going to make an attack. It is. That is Nicky Tim in the Aston Martin. Bortolotti covers off the McLaren. And round the outside goes Dean McDonald for third place. Fantastic move on the restart. Dean McDonald right round the outside goes third in the McLaren. And so it's Mercedes, and then only just as they went down that back straight. But as you said at the time, masterful avoidance by everybody else trying to find a way past.
I think they're going to box Rivera. They do, because cars leaving pit lane were going to be on his outlap, on their outlap, getting inside. They're in the championship hunt. We've got another yellow flag in sector 1. Let's keep our eyes on this battle. I think Gachet is kind of out of position. He had a good start, but hasn't got the pace at the moment.
And that is a good gain, bearing in mind that car started from pit exit, so he's gained close on 30 positions, but clearly that bodywork rub, it hasn't come without cost. Yeah, left rear corner of the car. Doesn't look as though it's anything performance hampering now. What do you mean? I'm always looking at the wrong screen at the wrong moment, but there you go. The more you have, the more you can fumble, but the more you have if you're not.
Best sector 1, that's the Red Bull sponsored Ferrari. Is there a big send up the inside by Niederhauser? He goes through into turn 9. Great move, but back up the inside comes Auer. This is a great battle. 2 pros absolutely on the money, and Lucas Auer switching sides back to the inside. Sorted out. Right, so all of this happens because a full course yellow is called, and some slow better than others, and there's the impact. Toledo right into the back of the Aston. But that was coming into Les Combes. I thought he got as far as Bruxelles before the car was turned around. Maybe I was... Oh, yeah, he goes up the escape road.
At the moment, as we see another hit, and it's just the Mercedes just isn't that far alongside the 8 Kessel car for me.
That Kessel Ferrari destroyed, isn't it? The whole of the front ripped off. And you could tell from the way Nicola Rossi was walking away.
They're spun around on the opening lap. This time the charges are to Leclerc on Vincent Abril in the car he shared with Rivera, running 3rd and 4th, and they've got round the opening lap. That's good news. At the end of the lap, it's 0.8 of a second. The margin Marvin Kirchhofer has over Jordan Pepper. McLaren ahead of Lamborghini. Thierry Vermeulen still holding on in 3rd place, but I do feel that incident where he went off at turn
slightly. You see the Ferrari get turned around now, and yeah, I don't think Stoltz gets in the back of that McLaren there, and yeah, unfortunately for Chris Lullum, nothing he could do. Gets away quickly.
Already back to that Mercedes in 3rd place. Look who's out of line in the background. Mauro Engel, he's trying to pick people off one at a time, and he really is making decent progress. Matthias Lismont, tick, another place gained.
But that was a WRT BMW. I expected that to be harder work for Engel. WRT not seeming to deploy the team tactics there. And
Sven Muller, a long, long way down, up to 24th, though, now coming into the chicane.
Yeah, Chris Froggatt lost her place again. Contact there, the CSA McLaren into the back of that Porsche. It's got big damage, as does the McLaren Rolf Eichen there. I think that's a DNF suspension damage in an AF Corsa car.
There, big battle on. You've got Dan Harper versus Ricardo Fellas, Porsche with a bit of damage on the back.
Now, well, let's take a look at the replay. He was on the outside and on the charge. Eddie Cheever up the inside, and I'm afraid push did come to shove. Ishan trying to get it going, running right across, I think it was a QMF Audi, but riding on board. Here's a replay.
Let's see.
One Rutronic Porsche being followed very hard by the Ferrari.
I think the pictures are going to say for themselves who's at fault. I might stay